All right, Adam, we are back at spring football practice after spring break. The Buffs took last week off, and back at it for number 7 today, and some good interviews. We got Coach Hart, Ben Finneseth, Arden Walker. But first off, you're battling a cold, and so we need to preface that. But how was your spring break? I know you went on a little trip.
Yeah, I went up to the Pacific Northwest to check in on some family, and certainly had to do some work with Coach Prime's new contract getting announced, and your report about the artificial surface, which coming to Folsom Field, which a lot of fans didn't appreciate. But it's great to be back here and to get back into spring ball. I always look at April as kind of the spring ball month. Unfortunate they're not going to be able to play Syracuse in a scrimmage. That would have been a lot of fun. Fran Brown did not hold back with some of his comments, and I know he said he was joking, but I think there is some truth in there as well. I get it. It was a very short turnaround to try to get a waiver approved to play that game, but hopefully that's something we can get into next year. But, yeah, no, it's good seeing some the forever Buffs out here that are getting ready for Friday's Pro Timing Day as well.
Yeah, a lot of times when we film in here, we have the field behind us. We were told we could film in here if we didn't have the field because those guys are working out. And so, Friday is going to be a lot of fun. Today was our one practice access, but Friday will be fun with the Pro Timing Day. As far as the spring game thing, it would have been cool, but it's disappointing that Syracuse isn't here. And as far as the artificial turf, what do you think about that? Do you like that they're going to do that? I mean, obviously there's an economic value to that. What do you think about the artificial turf?
I would say if it was easier to keep the natural grass looking good in Colorado in November, that I would be against it. But I mentioned this, I think we did our video on Friday of just the fields look pretty crappy late in the season. It hasn't looked good on TV, and so I'm a little bit more willing to. And there's been such advances in artificial surfaces, and there's been studies that have been done, but it does make you wonder, like, is an artificial surface that is well taken care of better than a bad field in November at Folsom Field? I don't know the answer to that question. I don't think those studies have been done on November surfaces in places like Colorado. So get those concerts in here, get another revenue stream going for this athletic department. I think in 2025, you got to maximize every opportunity to bring in money to this program.
Especially now that they've got to pay $10 million a year to their head football coach. So, which he's very deserving of that, but you got to find some ways to make that money and pay him. So, as far as practice today, very defense heavy, obviously. I mean, everybody we talked to was on the defensive side. Let's start with Coach Hart because that linebacker room is very new. Obviously, Levante Bentley and Nikhil Green no longer here. So he's got some new guys. And so he was asked, like, who were kind of step up as leaders? He goes, that's a trick question. He goes, I don't know yet. And so it's going to take a while. I think that battle, there's some portal additions, but I think that battle is going to go deep into August, don't you?
Probably, because I think in pencil you want to put Reginald Hughes and Martavius French in there just because these are guys that kind of not exactly to everything, but similar trajectory to what Nikhil Green had. In terms of getting that experience. And now this is your last ride to really make a big impact at the Power 4 level. So those would be my guesses. But Andre Hart is, even during the season, he's been pretty cutthroat with that position. I mean, he benched Levante Bentley early during his first year here, but he also gives second, third chances to guys if they show up and practice well. So he has been one of those coaches that follows really closely along with Coach Prime's philosophy of what you show in practice is what we're going to expect from you in games. And certainly Nikhil Green and Levante Bentley took that and ran with it last year. But you've got a guy like Jeremiah Brown that is just as fired up as those guys that came in here. He's got a chip on his shoulder as well. And so Wester, what does he look like now? And I thought at times last year, Jalen Wester looked pretty darn good out there. So there's competition there. I wouldn't even be surprised if they get another transfer in there just to further bolstered that depth, because you get a couple injuries there, all of a sudden maybe you don't feel as great about that position as you do right now.
Yeah, for sure. We saw last year, even wasn't an injury, but you don't have Nikai Hill-Green at the bowl game. It looked very different. And so yeah, you want to bolster that position. Mantrez Walker's a guy you asked him about. They've been recruiting him a long time. He's finally here. He's one of my favorite guys in this class, but your thoughts on what he talked about with Mantrez Walker?
Well, he's kind of a throwback type linebacker, and it's tough with where Colorado is right now in terms of expectations from this staff of we're going to be competing for a Big 12 championship. To try to put a true freshman out there as your starting middle linebacker, probably not a great idea, but I think I'm anxious to hear more updates as the season progresses to hear how he's doing, because I think he will be a guy by next year. You talk about maybe being a 3-year starter in this football program.
Yeah. Arden Walker is going to be one of the leaders of that edge group, right? We know that. Coaches have talked about this. I mean, you go back, Nick Williams mentioned it last year that Arden Walker would be a guy in 24, and he was. He had his best year, I think, in college. He's trying to take that next step as well. That's a good edge group, I think, but he's one of the leaders of that.
I would probably say I think that Arden Walker was the most underappreciated Colorado Buffalo during that 2024 season, because it wasn't a lot of sacks, but he made an impact just holding that edge. And it was, if you really keyed in on Arden Walker, it was from the edge position in terms of run support. It was textbook a lot of the time. He was really, really impressive in that role. I think you mentioned this too with one of your questions to him, is that every year he's gotten better, all the way dating back to his time at Missouri and Colorado kid coming back home. That it's such a great story. And, I think Arden Walker is maybe the leader on that defense, based on what Coach Livingston said, just in terms of his expectations from leadership on his defense early on during spring ball.
Well, another one of those leaders, I think, is Ben Finneseth. And he's a guy that we talked to today that Coach Pollock mentions as a leader for special teams. But Ben mentioned, look, they're asking me to step up as a leader on defense, too. And he's running with the ones for the first time in his career. So we know he's one of the more excitable and fiery guys and one of the more likable guys on this team.
Yeah, his personality is definitely infectious, for sure. And now he's not going to get as many of those hits on kickoff coverage that he got last year. So he's going to have a little bit still in the tank there. I don't know if he starts at safety for the Buffaloes this year, but a guy that you could put out there in situations and not feel like there's a huge drop-off. And the main takeaway I had was when he was asked about the defense this year, no hesitation from Ben Finesseth. He said, I love my defensive line. Yeah. And that's been a theme we keep hearing about this team early on during spring ball, is that group has really been fortified under Coach Prime these last few years.
He also mentioned he's learning a lot. He still talks to Cam Craig about leadership, things like that. And he mentioned Shiloh's one of his best friends and just the energy he brings. If he can take pieces of both of those guys, Ben Finesseth is going to be a really good player for this defense.
Yeah, no, there's guys on this team that you're not replacing Cameron Craig with another Cameron Craig. Obviously, Travis and Shador, same thing. This is just going to be a different team. It's kind of fun. But you do have some of those personalities that we've grown to love in this program the last few years. And Ben Finesseth is one of those last remaining OBs. I mean, there's not many of them left at this point.
Yeah, not many of them left. He's one of the best ones, and I'm going to miss him. We got another year with him. I'm not going to say I miss it, but I will when he's gone. But hey, Adam and I'll be back on Friday to talk about Pro Timing Day.